What up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Leslie Smith, and today on the Nerdy Narrative, I'm here to talk about the latest book that I finished from acclaimed author Philip Fracassi, The Third Rule of Time Travel. Now, if you're thinking to yourselves, because you've read Philip Fracassi before, you're going, time travel, isn't that science fiction? Yes, it is. This is a sci-fi thriller, a step away from the horror, but don't worry if you're a fan of his previous works that you've read, such as Boys in the Valley, a religious horror that I absolutely loved, and A Child Alone with Strangers. That was more of a paranormal horror. If you've read those like me and Philip Fracassi became a new favorite author, then also like me, I bet you had your eyes open for this newest release. I was so incredibly fortunate to be approved for the ARC on NetGalley, so thank you NetGalley, thank you Orbit Books for approving that request and letting me get a first look at this novel. Before I dip off into my thoughts about this book, let me tell you a little bit of what it's about and what made me want to read it. Okay, so it was written by Philip Fracassi. In all honesty, that's why I wanted to read it. He became an auto-buy author for me. But I was very intrigued. I love when an author that I love because of a certain thing they do, like I love this horror, but he's dipping his toes into science fiction. And I thought, okay, he's probably going to slide some horror into that, or maybe it's going to be a blend. No, it was sci-fi, but it had thriller aspects that really, that's where he got into, okay, here I go again. Whoa. Book description. So there are 3 rules to time travel. The first is you can only travel to a point in your own lifetime. Second rule, you can only stay for 90 seconds. Rule number 3, you are only able to observe. Now you might be thinking, that sounds a little underwhelming. You can only travel to your own lifetime and you can only stay for 90 seconds and you can only watch. You've been to these memories, you know how they go. What would be the fun in that? And wait a minute, are you going physically? How does that work? No. And that's where things get interesting. And probably the thing I love most about this book was its unique method of time travel. So our main character is Beth Darlow. She's a scientist who created this method of time travel, and the project, the endeavor, has been headed up between her and her husband, and it's being funded by this billionaire corporation called the Langdon Corporation. So Beth has been at work at this for over a decade, and they have decided, her and her husband Colson decided that they would not allow anyone else to travel except for Colson. He was the one selected. He was going to be the only one to travel until they had some more data. They understood what long-term effects there may or may not be. And what is most interesting is you're thinking time travel, you might be like me. Your mind immediately goes to Doctor Who, Back to the Future, the TV show 11/22/63, like a portal fantasy. There is no physical being moved. In fact, and there is a machine involved, but the time machine really and truly is you. There is a machine that's involved, of course. It's used to create a wormhole of negative energy in which your mind is what travels back into time to some arrival point of memory in your own timeline that is chosen completely at random, which is another reason why Beth and her husband didn't want anyone else to use this method of time travel until they could figure out, how is this arrival point chosen? Is there a way that the person could decide where to go? Would they be able to go to other bodies? They're just going to your own body. Like what is the point of this? Oh my goodness. This is where all of the thrills, chills, and intrigue is incorporated into this story. There's just enough science fiction elements introduced, but they're left as a mystery. So if you're a big time hard sci-fi reader, you like data, you like explanations, you might not find this one appealing because there is a lot that's left unexplored. But I think that was a great choice of the author, because when you're a reader like me and you have an overactive imagination, you can supply probably a little bit more than the author could. I'm not saying that as a dig or as a negative against the author. I think it was a great choice because I got in there with my brain going, what if the power went out and the machine powered down? Would my brain, would my consciousness be lost forever in the unknown? And what is this unknown that we're traveling? How is this working exactly? And does it change anything? Are there any long-term effects? Who knows? And how would you know if there was? I mean, it is so intriguing, and I think it was a great choice to not get too in depth with the quantum physics or whatever it is that goes into time travel. One thing I'm going to be very upfront with, it took about half the book before it turned from a good book into a great book. It really hovered there on the cusp. I wasn't quite sure if this was going to be a middle of the road book or if it was going to something happen to tip the scales to land it into a great book or a okay book. And I'm happy to say that when things took off, it was the perfect storm of circumstances that led to a discovery. And all of a sudden, it just got really intriguing. I couldn't put it down. I was so eager to see what was going to happen. And I have to admit, I didn't like the ending. I mean, it's a good ending. I mean, it's a great ending. But I kind of wanted it to be a different ending, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. Once you have read this book, if you want to find me, I'm on all the social media apps. I'm the Nerdy Narrative on all of them, and ask me, well, you could probably figure it out. When you read the ending, you're going to go, okay, so she must have wanted the opposite to happen. You would be correct. Actually, that's what I expect. No, I'm not going to say that. That would be a spoiler for any of you that are... Okay, I'm just going to stop talking. If you're a fan of Philip Fracassi, definitely give this one a try. If you like softer science fiction novels, definitely give this a try. If you like thrillers in general, I think this one will be right up your alley. I did read the digital arc for this one, so I have not experienced the audiobook. All I can tell you is that the narrator for the audiobook is Abigail Reno. I have not listened to her before, so I can't give an opinion on whether or not I think she's a great narrator. Of course, you can always get on the Audible app and listen to the sample and make that determination for yourself. I hope my opinion, my experience with this one helps you make your decision on whether or not you're going to pick this one up. I rated it a 4-star read on Goodreads. I use the call pile method to determine my star rating. If you're curious about what call pile is and how it works, I'll leave a link down to that as well. So that's my finished read. What I am still currently reading is The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez, and I'm almost done, so expect to see an update video in a couple of days. When I finish this one, I'm going to tell you guys how that one's going. I am slowly still working my way through Ships of Merior by Janie Wirtz. This is the second book in the Wars of Light and Shadow series. I'm having a great time with this one, just already loving it. The two favorite characters from the first book in that series, that is who I've been spending all of my time with so far in this one, so I couldn't be happier with how that one's going. And then I started a reread. I needed something that was going to lift my spirits, make me laugh, and I chose Angels in the Moonlight by Queve McDonald. This is the same author who wrote the paranormal thriller series, The Stranger Times, that I have been recommending so many times over the years. This is the crime thriller series by that same author. He's an Irish comedian. I have been laughing my tail off. I forgot how much I enjoyed this series. It features Detective Bunny McGarry over in Dublin, Ireland. Oh my goodness. And this time I'm reading the series in chronological order, so I'm starting with the prequel, a very young Bunny McGarry. In addition to all of the things that he involves himself in by his own choice, he's been assigned to help a task force in catching this gang, this crew of bank robbers that are hitting banks around Ireland. Oh my goodness. If you've read anything at all by this author, you just know you're in for a good time. That's exactly why I picked it up, and I'm just having the best time. So that is what I have finished reading, what I'm currently reading. What do I plan to read next? So Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. This is the second installment in the Vera Wong series by Jesse Q. Sentato, and I cannot wait. This is a cozy murder mystery series, and I am just delighted to be reunited with Vera, and I hope all of the little found family cast of characters I met in book 1 are gonna make an appearance in book 2. Also looking forward to seeing what new characters might be introduced and who this author is gonna have me fall in love with next. So that's what I've got going on. Hope you enjoyed hearing about The Third Rule of Time Travel by Philip Fracassi, and hopefully one of these other books are ones you're excited to hear about as well. If so, you know what you need to do. You need to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future update about one of these books. Thank you all so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. This channel would not be what it is without the support of its amazing patrons. Special thank you to my top tier patrons, Ev, Sharon, Kate, Andrew, Ann, Tara, Star, Gail, John, Chad, Heidi, and Wilbur.